Hare Krishna. Question: is the Shiva Sahasranam, which glorifies Lord Shiva as supreme, an interpolation in the Mahabharata? Answer: not necessarily. None of the acharyas who have quoted from the Mahabharata have referred to that section as an interpolation. Now, it does glorify Lord Shiva as supreme, but we have to understand that there is the concept of difference and the concept of non-difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is almost Lord Vishnu. Kshiram yatha divikara vishesha yogat. Just as milk becomes transformed into curd and acquires certain properties which are different from the properties of milk. So similarly, Lord Vishnu, when he comes in contact with the mode of ignorance, he becomes Lord Shiva. This is what Brahma Samhita explains. And the point is that when Lord Shiva is glorified as supreme, you have to understand that the Abhed aspect is being emphasized. The Abhed means non-difference. There is non-difference and there is difference. So in the Vedic scriptures, there are different contexts where worship in goodness, passion and ignorance, is recommended. So the Mahabharata conclusively talks about the supremacy of Vishnu, Vasudeva, Krishna, but along with that it also talks about worship of the other devatas. And when those devatas are being glorified, their connection, it is not necessary that when the devata is being glorified that their subordination to the Supreme Lord has to be emphasized. When those devatas are being glorified, their connection with the Supreme Lord can also be mentioned. And this happens in the Bhagavatam also, in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as in the 4th canto, when Brahmaji is first praying to the Supreme, to Lord Shiva after the Daksha Yajna, and similarly, just before the drinking of the drinking of the poison of ocean, the poison that has come from the churning of the milk ocean, the halal poison. At both times, when Lord Shiva is glorified, he is glorified as if he is supreme. But the same Bhagavatam, for example, just a little later, in this 4th canto, there is the Rudra Gita, where Lord Shiva comes and tells the sons of the Prachetas about how Lord Vishnu is supreme. And the same Bhagavatam, a little later in the 8th canto, in the 12th chapter, tells about how Lord Shiva is glorifying Lord Vishnu, that you are supreme, when Lord Vishnu, manifesting Mohini Murti, bewilders Lord Shiva. So the point is that we cannot take some sections from the Bhagavatam or from the Mahabharata out of their context. So when a particular devata is being glorified in the scriptures, because the scriptures talk at multiple levels, sometimes they talk in particular contexts. So at that time, when the devata is going to be glorified and the devata is going to do something glorious, at that time the connectedness of that devata is emphasized. So we don't have to consider the Shiva Sahasranam to be an interpolation. What we understand it is a contextual glorification, and the understanding the connectedness of of Lord Shiva with Lord Vishnu. And among all the devatas, Lord Shiva is in a very distinctive position. He's very close to Lord Vishnu, and we don't see that the Pandavas in any way give up the worship of Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, or Lord Vishnu just to worship Lord Shiva. So the understanding is that for particular purposes, particular devatas can be worshipped, and while they are being worshipped, their connectedness with the Supreme Lord, in terms of the Abhed aspect, is also talked about. So Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are non-different. I have answered this question elsewhere also in further technical details when I talk about why Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva have similar names in the Vishnu Sahasranam also, where Lord Vishnu is also glorified as Rudra and Shiva and by such names. So the Abhed aspect, the non-difference aspect and the difference aspect, both have to be understood. So the Shiva Sahasranam is a glorification of Lord Shiva, which is a contextual glorification and which is to be understood based on the Abhed relationship, or the Abhed aspect of the relationship between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.